Does anybody live there? Are there so that
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. We're so delighted that you could be here with us this morning as we celebrate Shabbat, as we celebrate the last day of Pesach, or the second to last day, depending on what you're keeping, and most importantly, celebrating Gabe becoming a bar mitzvah. So we know that today would be a special day no matter what, but it is particularly special because this bar mitzvah does not look exactly, Gabe, how we wanted your bar mitzvah to look, though I do love that you have your dudes section right here. That's very nice. Thank you for representing, guys. But we know there are so many people who are watching at home who are celebrating with you. They're up there. You can give them a little wave if you want to. But the hardest thing about becoming a bar mitzvah during this time of COVID really is that it means that for the most part, Gabe is really leading the service entirely by himself. We used to joke that becoming a bar mitzvah, you're like rabbi for a day, but really you are the rabbi today. So we will be over to the side, sort of getting your back when you need us, but for the most part, you are leading the service on your own. And I am delighted to say to all of you that if there's anyone who is totally prepared to do that, it is Gabe Fields, because he knows his stuff and is going to do a fabulous job. So we are going to begin this morning just by starting with some words of blessing and singing the words of Matovu, which can be found in your prayer book if you'd like to follow along on page 172. Matovu Olecha Yaakov, Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Matovu Olecha Yaakov, Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Va'ani berov chastecha avo veitecha eshtachave elecha l'kodshecha be'yiratecha. Matovu Olecha Yaakov, Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Matovu Olecha Yaakov, Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. So it is my honor to invite up both our bar mitzvah and his papa so that he can begin our service and his papa can place his talit upon him. Yamot Shmuel ben Yaakov v'masha. Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of all, who hallowed us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Our service begins on page 170 in the blue prayer book. May my life be one link in a chain of goodness. As I say the prayers of my ancestors, help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering, which are in every word. Holiness is my heritage. May I be worthy of it. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know, enriched by the truth that I have found and the good deeds I have done. So may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring their spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes. Please turn to page 195 and rise for the call to worship.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha v'rachamim uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chochma asita ma'ala ha'aretz kinyanecha titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'arucha selah or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu meheira le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. The world is sunlight, rejoicing the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give in the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. We join in singing the Shema at the top of page 200.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha.
V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'pshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim elechem. Ani Adonai Elechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elechem.
Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh. Nora teilot osef ele, nora teilot Osef ele Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed.
Please turn to page 205 and rise for tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Hayom, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, U'Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, V'chayei hakol atah Rav le'oshia. Mechakel chayim v'chesed, V'chayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech nofrim v'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha bal gevurot u'midom elach. Melech meimit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakom. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakom. You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the doorframe, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher, encourage my seeking. As I fill hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam,
Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv aya neviyecha, v'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu ma'adir, Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu ve'hu Yashmienu, v'rachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, Ledor vador, Hallelujah.
Ledor vador nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. So So we take just a moment now to offer a prayer for peace over our community, over our country, over Israel and all the world. Sim Shalom on page 216. Sim, sim, sim shalom, sim, sim, sim shalom, sim, sim, sim shalom, tova uveracha. Yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da. Yeah.
All right. This was very fast. This went very quickly.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
It helps.
Okay, I'll talk about that later. I'm very excited for that. So this is, we've reached a very sacred point in our journey that we're going through this morning that Gabe, you're leading. And for those of you who are not fluent in Hebrew or the prayer service, I'll try to summarize it. I should do a YouTube video on this. Could do the whole service in 5 seconds or less. That'd be great. But then nobody would get to hear such a beautiful recitation of the service itself. So I'll be quick where you gave us something long and beautiful. He explained to us the whole origin of the universe and the cosmos, where everything came from, how things came into being. And then he took us through all of the Avot and the Imot, all the great ancestors, and recited all of their names and recalled what they were in Torah. And then we got to Egypt, to Mitzrayim, and we got to the shores of the Red Sea, and we got to cross there. And now we lost our GPS, but our neshamas are telling us that Gabe is going to lead us in the right direction, and that he's going to take us to the foot of Mount Sinai. And that's where we're supposed to be standing right now, and we're all encamped in front of the great mountain. And there's fire coming out of the top of the mountain. And our leader, Moshe, Gabe, is going to come up in a few minutes, and he's going to receive the Torah, and he's going to receive a revelation, and then he's going to reveal to us what the Torah says, because if it's all in ancient Hebrew. So we need a teacher to come along and explain that to us. So he will be going forth and doing that, and then at the end, he'll be saying prayers of redemption that conclude the service and talk about the end of time and the end of being. And we'll be very excited for that. But in the meantime, now, it is what I like to call the main event.
And for Gabe, the main event is actually pretty special because since we are in this period called Chol HaMoed Pesach, and we are in the intermediate days of Passover, it means that instead of reading the Torah portion that would just naturally happen over the course of the year, he has a special one that is just for Passover, and it is at least, it is one of the coolest Torah portions in the entire Torah, and you are actually going to get to physically see it a little bit. But first, as Rabbi Michael said, not only is he going to read it to us, but symbolically, we know that this is not just something that you're doing on your own, that you are taking on a tradition that has been passed down through the generations of your family. So we're going to have some of the members of your family participate with us. So if I can have Sarah and Zach and Hudson, who will help us open the ark, and Greg and Jessica are going to help us take out the Torah. And if I can ask everyone else to please rise, and then grandparents and parents are going to stand right up front so we can pass the Torah to you. Ein kamocha b'Elohim Adonai ve'ein k'ma'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'mamshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. So Greg and Jessica can take it out. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch Le'olam va'ed, and bring it over to this end. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai od le'amo yitain. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. And we'll sing together on page 246. Ki emetzion tetzei Torah, Ki emetzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'givura v'tiferet v'hanetzach v'hod, ki ho b'shamayim u'v'aretz, ki ho b'shamayim u'v'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'malacha v'minaseh lechol rosh. Beautifully done, everyone. Please be seated. And our Torah blessings, if you'd like to follow along, can be found on page 250.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai havarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'Torah. Az Yashir Moshe Ubnei Yisrael et Hashira Hazot La Adonai Vayomru Lemor Ashira La Adonai Ki Ga'o Ga'a Sus Berochvo Rama Vayam Ozi Vizimrat Ya Vayehi Li Lishua Ze Eli Va'anvehu Elohe Avi Va'aro mimenhu Adonai Ish Milchama Adonai Shemo Markivot Paro V'chelo Yara Vayam Umivchar Shalishav Tubu Vayam Suf Tehomot Yechasyumu Yardu Vimsolot Kemo Aven Yemincha Adonai Nedari Bakoach Yemincha Adonai Tiratz Oyev Uvirov Gaoncha Taharos Kamecha Tishalach Charoncha Yochlemo Kakash Uveruach Apecha Ne'ermu Mayim Nitzvu Chemo Ned Nozlim Kafu Tehomot Bilev Yam Amar Oyev Erdof Asig Achalek Shalalu Timla Emo Nafshi Arik Harbi Torishemo Yadi Nashafta Beruchacha Kisamo Yam Salalu Kaoferet Bemayim Adirim Michamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mikamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot Ose Fele. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. All right, so now it's a tradition that we lift the Torah into the air, which we were going to ask Gabe's father to do, so you can see what he read perfectly, by the way. And we'll ask you, if you will, just to rise for this moment, also so you can see the awesomeness of what it looks like. Go for it. Yep.
Vizot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael, al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. This is the Torah which Moses placed before the people of Israel, God's word through the hand of Moses.
Beautiful. Nicely done. I know. You're making the rest of the dads look bad. I'm just saying.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim, v'ratza v'divrechem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayedaber David la Adonai et divrei hashira hazot v'yom hitzil Adonai oto mikaf kol oivav umikaf Shaul. Vayomar Adonai sali umitsu dati umifalti li. Elohe tsuri echese bo magini v'keren yishi miskabi umenusi moshi mechamas toshieni mehulal ekra Adonai ume oivai ivashea ki afafuni mishbere mavet nachale bilial yivaatuni chevle sheol sabuni kidmuni mokshe mavet batsar li ekra Adonai ve'el Elohai ekra vayishma mehe chalo koli vishavati be'oznav vayitga'ash vatirash haaretz mosdot hashamayim yirgazu vayitga'ashu ki chara lo Allah ashan ve'apo ve'esh mipiv tochel gechalim ba'aru mimenu vayet shamayim vayerad va'arafel tachat raglav vayirkav al kiruv vayaof vayera al kanfei ruach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sor kol haolamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber umkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shanatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnucha, lechavod ultifaret, al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otah, yitbarach shimcha, b'fi kol hai tamid, le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. Hello.
Give me 1 second. I'm just going to cover it up while you're talking. There we go. Okay, good.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and watching today. Unfortunately, most of you are not here in person, but that's okay. My Torah portion is called The Song at Sea, and it is about when the Jewish people escaped Egypt and they were fleeing from Pharaoh and his army when they were stopped at the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army was rapidly approaching them, and they had nowhere to go. The small number of Jews there were knew that they were no match for the Pharaoh's strong and powerful army. Then the Red Sea suddenly parted in half, leaving a way for the Jews to escape to. The Jews made it across, and the Red Sea collapsed on the Egyptian army. This leads to what I think is a story of good guys and bad guys. The Jews were the good guys, and they were trying to escape a huge army, while Pharaoh and his huge army were trying to bring the Jews back to Egypt and keep them as his slaves. Many of you would expect that I related this story to basketball, specifically a rivalry in the 1990s, Bulls versus Pistons. The Pistons were a big, fierce, aggressive team that would do whatever it takes to win. They would play dirty, trash talk, and more. Some Pistons players at this time were Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, and Bill Laimbeer. These players all had a lot of experience in the NBA, and they were one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. The Bulls, on the other hand, were a young team that had a completely different game style at that point. They were not at all like the Pistons. Their team had players like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Horace Grant. The Bulls and the Pistons faced off many times in the late 1980s and early 1990s. This is like the Jews and the Egyptians. The Jews were slaves and were severely malnourished, while the Egyptian army was the most well-fed and biggest army in the ancient world. The way the Jews overcame the Egyptians was when the Red Sea parted, they escaped. In a way, Michael Jordan and the Bulls did the same thing. They kept on losing to the Pistons over and over again because they couldn't handle the Pistons' aggressive play style, so the Bulls matched their play style. Michael Jordan is known as one of the best trash talkers in NBA history, but he wasn't always like that. He had to change to be that way to beat the Pistons, and that was what he did. He saw he could overcome that obstacle, and he didn't give up until he was finally past the Pistons and in the NBA Finals. This is exactly like the Jews, because they had tried to escape before, but the Egyptian army was too big and strong for them, so they failed. Then, the Jews saw a chance when the Red Sea parted for them, and they succeeded and they were finally free. The main meaning of my Torah portion is to never give up and that there is always a way. I think this because the Jews didn't give up when they were cornered at the Red Sea, and Michael Jordan didn't give up when he kept on losing to the Pistons. There are many other examples of the Jews not giving up throughout their history. Some of these examples include the story of David versus Goliath and the Hanukkah story. In both of these instances, the Jews' chances of surviving were very low, and in the end, they won and survived. Also, when it looked like it was over for the Jews, they found a way to escape, and when it looked like Michael Jordan would never beat the Pistons, he did. Again, thank you so much for being here on Zoom or in person. I'd especially like to thank my mom for planning and organizing this whole thing, my dad for always giving me tips and helping me improve in the sports I play. I'd like to thank my sister for being a good sister, and Sivia for being a great tutor and helping me get ready for my bar mitzvah. I'd also like to thank the rabbis for helping me throughout Sunday school and Hebrew school. Thank you.
Right in the middle. Let's move this for a second. So we'd also like to thank everyone for being here today in person and virtually, and thank everyone for all their support. We're so excited, and we just have some words for you. So I personally have a confession to make. Until I recently consulted Google, I really didn't know why a Jewish boy became a bar mitzvah at age 13. Maybe I knew many years ago when I came of age at Temple Israel in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan for my bar mitzvah, but like so many other facets of aging, it slipped my mind. But fortunately, Google has a rabbi on staff, and I learned that at age 13, a boy was felt to be accountable for his actions. And after this age, the now man is able to participate in all areas of life. I also learned that traditionally, today the parents give thanks to God that they are no longer punishable for their child's sins. So Gabe, today is a day for celebration for us as well as you. You are on your own from today on. Joking aside, though, my thoughts about the age of a bar mitzvah came to mind because at some point over the past several years, there's been a very slowly perceptible and a beautifully universal change that I think occurs in every child and is directly relevant to the tradition of bar mitzvah. And it's a change that our son, Gabe, that you exemplify, and has been dramatically enhanced by the pandemic that has so substantially altered the way we're celebrating today. And the change that I and we are going to speak of that's central to our message to you, Gabe, is the change from a sense of wonder to a spirit of inquiry.
At some point, an infant learns how to wonder. They gaze and are captivated. They see and hear things and become amazed and astonished and captivated. Think of those, why didn't I think of that, and make a fortune, Baby Einstein videos that transfix their children. This one especially. Gabe, you're a fantastic wanderer, always captivated by the hustle, bustle, and beauty of the world. From St. Louis to New York and back, our sense of wonder is a constant joy to watch. But young children cannot go beyond the wonder. Their young minds, their young minds at the astonishment, but cannot. Their young minds stop at the astonishment, but cannot yet inquire. They sense the wonder and awe of a waterfall or a rainbow, but do not and cannot yet ask, where does all the water come from? Or why are there now colors in the sky? It is this transition from a sense of wonder to a spirit of inquiring that is, in large part, why a boy or girl becomes capable of becoming a man or woman, and the timing of this transition that relatively shortly precedes the timing of a bar mitzvah.
Gabe, your sense of inquiry is one of your defining characteristics. The simple version of this is the word why, that is so often the reply from a child to a parent, irrespective of the request. You certainly have your share of irreverent whys, but what astonishes us as parents and is truly emblematic of your character is your unbridled sense of inquiry that takes you beyond the simple act of asking why to the deep dive you so often take into the matter at hand. By no means do you or do children go from this sense of wonder to inquiry overnight. It is a gradual process punctuated by great leaps, and nothing has been greater than what we have witnessed in the year of the pandemic. From your borderline obsession with basketball to your steadfast dedication to school, from your intense focus on your Torah portion and speech, to your admirable aptitude to be the best COVID quarantine sibling a Sarah's sister could ask for, you have grown from a young boy to a man in the blink of an eye. And with the growth, you have continued to inquire, and inquire more. The whys have given way to explanations. You still question, but then you inquire constantly to find the answer.
And nothing captivates you more than sports, and nothing more than basketball. Yeah, thank you. From the way you start your day with, Alexa, what was the Michigan score last night? That leads to our early morning before school ESPN watching, sometimes exploitative-filled weekday breakfast sessions. I now know more about sports than I ever thought I would, and certainly more than I need. Watching you not just memorize the statistics, but delve into the metrics and reasons for those statistics is fascinating. Is a fascinating exercise for parents. Your lack of satisfaction with the surface information and the inquiry that results, leading to a teenager version of root cause analysis, personifies the topic of our message to you. We can't remember when, as a parent, you taught us something for the first time, but we now find it happening on a regular basis. And your peers know it too. You're supposed to laugh now. Thank you. We are never surprised to ask you who just called and hear your answer of, one of my friends needed to know the answer to something. And to then hear you not just give the answer, but the deep explanation is emblematic of your growth, friendship, and desire to help anyone and everyone.
So today, as we celebrate you, Gabe, as your parents, we're going to use all the words any mother and father would include in a bar mitzvah speech to their son. We are proud. We are filled with joy. You, along with your sister, make our lives complete and fun and uniquely amazing. But even if we didn't say these things, you know all these sentiments because we are blessed with amazing lives, friends and family that make those feelings, pride, joy, fun, and happiness commonplace in our daily lives. So we'd like to leave you with a thought that we hope you'll read over and over again from time to time in this speech in an archive somewhere, but likely we'll see in other speeches and text, because it was said first by the Nobel Prize physicist Richard Feynman. He once said, "The first principle of life is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool." Feynman's message is really one of continued wondering, leading to you to inquire and constantly and honestly reevaluate that process for yourself. We want you to continue to be so unique, so critical, and so questioning of yourself and the world around you. Your namesake, Gabriel, transcends every major religion and is the epitome of strength and leadership. Your sense of wonder and inquiry will define your path on the road of life, presenting so many opportunities for you to be a strong leader, the archangel. Use those times to enhance not just your life, but the lives of others. From the simple small things to bigger projects, use your privilege and your gifts to continue to make us all so much better.
And to bring to close our somewhat meandering message, and for the TikTok generation that may only remember a few bullet points, wake up and pay attention, as this is our summary. We say empathetically to you, Gabe, keep on keeping on. For a more modern spin on the same message, you be you. We love you very, very much. Mazel tov. Okay.
I'm gonna let you sit down with your parents, actually. All right, so Gabe, now we get to fell over you a little bit and give you some things. So first, as we told you before, inside, the keys to the Temple Maserati. We hope you enjoy them, use them well. And then we also have both the certificate that says that indeed today, Gabriel, you became a bar mitzvah, and we really, really, a million times really hope that you will be continuing in your Jewish education, and that one of the steps you'll take will be a trip to Israel, maybe with me and Rabbi Michael, and so we have a little gift certificate to get you there. All right, do you want to start, or do you want me to? Okay, so first I just want to say something to, Gabe, not to just you, but to your parents, which is to say just how grateful we are to have you guys in our community. And I think this year especially, I think about just when the beginning of COVID happened, and Ryan, you were just this wonderful resource for our community and for so many parents who were just had no idea what to do during this time. And so both as rabbis, but also as parents, we appreciated that tremendously. And Laura, you were like the chillest bar mitzvah mom ever during a time when no one is chill. So just thank you guys for what you bring here. And we're so glad that Sarah, that we still have a couple years to study with you until you're a bat mitzvah. One of the things that Rabbi Michael and I always tell parents is we say, when you are giving your blessing or your speech to your child, you're not allowed to talk about sports in terms of bragging about sports. But in your case, now that means I get to talk about sports, right? Because I just want to say that one of the things that Rabbi Michael and I knew about you was that you were a sports kid, which always worries me a little bit because I know nothing about sports. I mean, absolutely nothing at all. But I will say that two things. One is I learned a lot from talking to you about sports. I never even knew that Michael Jordan was known for trash talking. I only knew he was in that Bugs Bunny movie and was really nice in it. So, but a lot of times when we have a young man who is really into sports, our assumption is that the bar mitzvah may be somewhat low on their priority list. And what I will say that we saw from you this year is that it's not just that you're good at sports, and it's not just that you're good at school, you were also really good at this. I mean, the way that you led the service today was just incredible. And I know I talked to Mauricivia about it recently, just that like the past month or two, all of a sudden, it is like something clicked in you. And you should be so proud of how you led the service today. It was remarkable. But more than anything, it's not just that you're good at sports and you're good at school and that you're good at leading a service. You're also just a mensch. You are a really, really kind human being. And so we are so proud of everything you accomplished today. But more than that, we're just looking forward to seeing the man that you become.
It's not often that Rabbi Amy steals a lot of my thoughts because she's much brighter than I am. But I just want to share my thanks. As well as my gratitude for your attitude towards this whole experience. It was a really interesting year, and not everybody wanted to get on their computer after being on their computer for a whole day. And for me personally, and I know the same as well as Rabbi Amy, both on the computer and then in person especially, they were opportunities that we looked forward to. We felt like, Gabe's coming over. This is gonna be good. We can get through some stuff. We're gonna talk. It's gonna be nice. And it was, and that can't be understated. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up was also the experience of studying with you. When two worlds of encyclopedic knowledge come together, the Talmud and the Tanakh, and then baseball, basketball, football, all of them come together. It's a beautiful thing. And to be in the presence of an expert was very humbling, especially when you think that you're the expert that's going to be teaching everything. You end up getting taught. It's a really awesome thing. Last, just to say something in connection with what you spoke about, and to speak about your character and also with what your parents said. We talked about the experience of leaving Mitzrayim, of leaving Egypt, and getting to the shores of the Red Sea. And it's very, very abbreviated when we talk about it in the Haggadah or in the telling of the story. But we got to study it for months. And what I kept thinking to myself was, if I had to go on this late journey, this frightening journey, if I had to go out on this military operation where we were being pursued by the enemy, I'd want you on my team. You are someone that would be good to have in a band of brothers. You are someone who would stay up and keep the watch. And as we were celebrating Passover, I thought about you standing there, keeping the watch and keeping us alert to whether Pharaoh's army was coming or not. You see, Gabe is a guy that you can trust in, and more importantly, that you can rely on. You are very reliable, you are very trustworthy, and you took this on with great gevura, with great strength. Mazel tov to you, to what you gave to your family, to what you gave to your community, and honestly, to what you gave to us as your teachers and as your rabbis. Thank you. And kol hakavod. Well done.
So we get to this part in the service where we get to give you a special blessing. And one of the things we talked about is that for many of us, this is the first time we've been in synagogue vaccinated, which is a very exciting moment. And it's nice to be up here and to feel like we're getting to that place. But we're not quite close enough that we're ready to give hugs and touches yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a blessing, us from here, but we're going to ask all of you to help us. So if I can ask you to please rise. And when we do the priestly blessing, it's a tradition, if you wish, to sort of raise your hands sort of over our bar mitzvah. You can even do this funny thing with your fingers if you want to, which is the tradition. I say, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God's light be made to shine upon you and guide you as you go on your way. May
God's presence be lifted over you. May you be granted with wholeness and peace. And we say, Amen. And Sarah, I've never thought about that, but woo, it's like totally what we should do in this moment.
That's
so
the
actually,
TikTok
if you
moment.
want, we're going to ask you to stay risen because we are going to return the Torah to the ark. Sarah, can you help us just put this back on? We're going to return the Torah, and then after that, we will invite Gabe back up. It is not easy, this particular one. Actually, Gabe, you want to help us too? No, I think she's got it. I think she's got it. Beautiful. Okay.
Oh, he made this look so easy.
It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. And now, Gabe, we're going to invite you back up to lead us in Aleinu, which is in your book. Is for us is on the bottom of page 282. Shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula leyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'artzot, velo samanu kamishpachat adama, shelo samcha kenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
ונאמר
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. So even though today we are honoring a time of joy, we're also remembering those who couldn't be here with us today. In the Reformed Jewish tradition, we had our Yizkor service just prior to this, and so thinking of all of those who we have lost, we're in particular thinking of Celia Pevnik and Joseph Pevnik, Goldie Levinson, Jenny Rothman, Sam Rothman, Shirley Troyan, Sylvia Schwartz, Leon Schwartz, Stanley Schwartz, and Jeffrey Brant Walton, for all those members of your family circle and community, all who I know would be so proud to see you here today. Thinking of those and thinking of all who we've lost, we turn together for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam l'olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha borichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Well, it wouldn't be a simcha if we didn't have a little eating and drinking at the end. So, Sarah, the moment you've been waiting for, and we're also going to invite Gabe's grandparents up to help us as well. And blessings over wine and matzah. So for those of you who are still keeping Passover, enjoy the matzah. Even if you're not still keeping Passover, you are allowed to have matzah all year round. Right. Yes. Let's do the juice first or the wine first. You can do it. Amen. L'chaim. Sure. Amen. Beautiful. All right, my friends, you have said the words and done everything just beautifully. Gabe, you are official. Simon tov, mazel tov, and simon tov, mazel tov, and simon tov, mazel tov, and simon tov. Yehelanu, u'lecha Yisrael. Yehelanu, u'lecha Yisrael. You can have all the matzah you want. There is not a shortage.
Enjoy. You did great, Sarah. Thank you.
Where did I lose my mask?
Thank you, guys. Wonderful.
Yeah, oh, wow.
He was
It
so
was such a
good.
pleasure. Mazel tov.
Wonderful
Mazel
day.
tov.
Just amazing.
You got great weather too.
I
Well,
know,
yeah.
I know. It's so perfect.
And this is also Jonah, so you're basically
That's what I asked.
yeah.
know.
So
I'm like, oh man, Jonah's got a
you
lot
were
of work to
tough.
do.
I don't know. I'm not going to be that tough. You guys were fantastic. I think I'm going to be just a big sponge.
It was amazing. He was so good.
Yeah. Well, mazel tov, and thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, my favorite is the guy said, I didn't mean to mention it. I like when he was taking over the breaths. He's like, and then Michael's right, and it was so, and he writes so beautifully enough.
It's self-inflicted. Thank you so much.